field day at Inverness, in the heart of the Mitchellgrass Downs, north of Muttaburra, saw a group of interested landholders gather to discuss the engine room of livestock production on the Downs, Mitchellgrass. And what an ideal forum. The get-together was held on a fence line that graphically displayed Mitchellgrass country in its natural state in comparison to the same pastures infested with prickly acacia. Discussions at the field day centred around the latest control methods for prickly acacia, fast-tracking Mitchellgrass recovery following drought or woody weed removal, and practical ways of identifying what viable pasture seeds exist in seed beds.
Yeah, I was really grateful for DCQ to give us the invite to come along today to be able to share the work that we did as a part of the pot trial, and to then extend that work into industry that people can then do it themselves at home by shovel and some foil barbecue trays to get an idea of what seed is in their landscape. And having that knowledge then helps to inform decision making on how they would then potentially graze or manage those particular paddocks that they may have had concerns about.
Desert Channel's Queensland personnel discussed the broad suite of methods of prickly acacia control. New chemicals on the horizon were discussed, chemicals that will improve effectiveness and lower costs of implementation. The current cost of diesel is affecting all on the land, and alternatives in chemical mixing were discussed, along with the latest in accurate targeting using aerial mapping technology. Cooperative approaches to pricklebush control using contractors to effectively destroy thick infestations, with landholders maintaining the kill and working on sparser outbreaks. John Waring from Eversley talked about his experience in fast-tracking Mitchellgrass recovery through seeding. Learning as he goes, he talked about seeding depth, seed viability, and he reckons he has saved years on waiting for natural recovery. Jane Ticknell from the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries discussed information gathering with seed beds so that if seeding was carried out, how to ensure the best places were seeded.
Generally we go to a paddock that the landholder's been concerned about. It may not have responded well to the rain or not responded how they thought it would, or there may be a decline in tussock density. So ideally we'd like to take about 20 samples through that landscape in different areas, like moving away from water or towards water, so we can get an understanding if there's any been grazing impact. And basically we're sampling the top 2.5 centimetres of the soil because that's where the bulk of the Mitchellgrass seed will be based. We take 6 samples with our corer because then that allows us to do some mathematical calculations to get an understanding of what seed is potentially in the landscape. I think the really great aspect of this work is that it doesn't have to be scientific, is that we can just take a shovel scraping, again down at that 2.5 centimetres, that people can do that themselves at home and then talk to either myself or someone from DCQ when we do go to ID those little seedlings to see what's going on there. And I think it's so much more exciting and to me it's so much more better if people can do it themselves, that they can be a part of that decision making. They can be sourcing really credible knowledge, credible data to help inform those decisions. So from the work that we did with the producers where we did collect samples from, one, it got them out looking at their pastures instead of driving past them thinking that they're terrible, is that we could actually see that there were tussocks that are alive in the landscape. So that gave them some hope and positivity that when those rainy seasons come again, is that those tussocks will fire back up again. Then also knowing getting an understanding of what seed is in the landscape can then either help confirm or allow a decision on whether they would seed country or whether they need to keep animals off country a bit more longer.
The field day rounded up with much knowledge sharing amongst landholders, with one goal in sight: to manage the rich Mitchellgrass pastures on the Downs to ensure viable and sustainable business management into the future. History, Government and Desert Channel's Queensland support the grazing industry in managing for change and a sustainable future on the rangelands.